there are so many different statements out there of why we need tariffs, and they all are in conflict with each other.
Right.
There are things that say, well, we're going to raise so much money from tariffs, we're going to get rid of the income tax. But at the same time, they're saying, well, we're just trying to get fair trade deals. So if you're
Right.
trying to get a fair trade deal and have everybody get rid of their tariffs, then obviously you wouldn't be making more money and getting rid of that. Or getting the extra money to get rid of the income tax. The same thing about reshoring manufacturing. If we're trying to get people to buy more in the USA, well, then you're not making a lot from tariffs. And so there are all these different things, and everyone's in a panic. And every time I talk to someone, well, what do you do? What do we need to do to solve the problem? And I'm like, well, what is the problem? I mean, there are kind of minor problems and some, mid-class problems. The biggest problem that we have in terms of manufacturing is that there are critical industries that we need to be focused on here in the US, like shipbuilding, like defense manufacturing, like pharmaceutical supply chains. So yes, we should be, figuring out a way to do that. I don't know that tariffs gets us there. It doesn't magically make manufacturing appear. You could do that via incentives, right? You could do that via a carrot versus a stick approach. But if that is your plan, if you want to make sure that we have these critical industries here, there are, all different ways you could do it. And you certainly don't need to drag in every other industry and put them out of business potentially in the process. If it's okay, well, we're in a war with China, well, then why is it that when you came out with Liberation Day, you said, okay, well, we're going to punish every other country? If you're a country that has basically moved your supply chain to another country, you're still getting hit with tariffs, not the China
Yeah.
levels, but whatnot. Then, there was, but, the middle class has been hollowed out and we need these jobs. And I'm not going to downplay that, there was a time when manufacturing was absolutely killed. And there are towns across this country that were decimated and really hurt by the shift in changing of the economy. But since that time, things have evolved. We have had manufacturing capacity on the upswing. We have hundreds of thousands of jobs, both in manufacturing and skilled trade, that we cannot fill. So it
Mm.
would seem to me that you'd want to incentivize training for the positions we do have instead of some sort of mythical, we need to bring back these mythical positions, which, by the way, are probably going to be taken by a robot anyway.
Yeah.
The whole thing just makes no sense. They have not done a good job in communicating this. They have not, you cannot say, well, what is the alternative when we do not have a clear objective? But what has happened, instead of the optimism that Trump had created from, hey, we're going to do deregulation, we're going to get the government out of the way, we're going to get a handle on prices, right? That was what everybody wanted, was price stability. We're going to make sure that the tax cuts are permanent. We're going to really create an opportunity for you to thrive. For a significant part of the economy, they've now actually created new barriers, lots of uncertainty that has butterfly effects throughout the entire economy. And so, given all of the things that we've talked about, the hair on fire debt problem, these tripwires, and so on, it's just a giant freaking head scratcher at best. And for those of us who have, clients, partners, places we shop that are effective, it is really, really frustrating. And I say this as a, somebody who is rooting for this administration. This is not
Right.
meant to say, oh, what a stupid thing that you voted for. I'm saying I don't understand why this is the way this is rolling out. And somebody's going to say, oh, well, what do you know, Carol? Have you ever done a deal before? Yes, I have done billions of dollars of transactions. I have a Wall Street background. I still do transactions. I've been negotiating for 30 years. And no, I'm not Donald Trump, but I have a pretty good idea of how things come together successfully.
Are you dealing with an HMO like I am? It's such a pain in the butt. If I want to get any sort of testing done to ensure I'm making my health a priority, I have to wait weeks for an appointment to see my doctor, then get a referral from her, and wait weeks more for an appointment with the specialist I needed to see just to get some lab work. Quest simplifies this process. I can purchase my own lab tests online and test for a multitude of health issues I might be concerned about, then take those results to my doctor better armed with the information I need. At questhealth.com, you can get hundreds of tests across several different categories, from allergies to heart health, hormones, sexual health, women's health tests for egg quantity, perimenopause, menopause, men's health tests for testosterone, prostate, and so much more. These are lab quality tests, the same ones you'd be given at your doctor's office. So prioritize your health and visit questhealth.com today. Use the code Phetasy to get 25% off and find answers to the multitude of health questions you may have. That's questhealth.com and use the code Phetasy for 25% off.